Hey everybody, welcome to another Fun in 5, bringing you another discussion about board game mechanics. Today's topic is about worker placement and how you can have fun with them in games. So I've talked about some of these games in my Fun in 5s, but I just wanted to talk about the mechanic in general. And worker placement is, from what I understand, when each player has a certain number of workers or resources that they can place onto specific spots on the board or tiles or locations to get a benefit from them, some kind of action or resource or result. And so players will be taking turns choosing these different action spots or worker spots. And in some cases, they'll block other players from getting them. In some cases, they can all get the same resource and go to the same place. But regardless, it's about placing worker placement, and getting something in return. And so what do I find fun about those? Let's talk about 5 things. The first off is just the components themselves. Most of these games have some kind of component that are just fun to have on your board. If you look at a game like Stone Age, I enjoyed this game. Just comes with meeples, and then it has tokens and little bits to represent the wood and the bricks. So always a lot of components to play with, and each player can kind of set them up on their board and have some fun with them. If you look at a game like Agricola, they even have little pig meeples. These little hog meeples are kind of cool to look at. I think they have some cow ones as well right here. Pumpkins for farming. So just seeing all the different bits and baubles, you can find them in all kinds of games. Different tokens. The viticulture here has little houses and little windmills and little workers and shacks. And so the components, I think, in these types of worker placement games are always interesting. Always much more than your average board game, in my opinion, unless you're talking about games with standees, or miniatures, I should say. So that's the first thing I like about them. Second thing I like about them is there's always options to choose from. It's very, very rare that it would go down to you not having a choice. So when you're playing these games, even if you're kind of picking the best of what's left because you're the last person to pick in a turn, you still have choices to make. And those choices will impact your future gains and resources. In games like Stone Age, sometimes you have to make that decision. Do I want to be the first person that gets food and then the next person can make more people, or do I want to be the first person that makes more people this turn because I have the choice of going first? Making more people then gives the burden of having to spend more food to keep them alive, but in the long run gives you more workers to place. So I like that aspect. Or when you're choosing actions, games like Lords of Waterdeep allow you to get a guaranteed extra workers later on in the game. Choices in Feast of Odin are where instead of just placing one worker at a time, in Feast for Odin you have to choose which column you want to pick, and thereby using sometimes 2 or 3 or 4 workers. And so is the cost of spending 4 workers worth the benefit of that 4 worker spot? That can be an interesting balance to decide what's right, when, and where. And you do that also with Stone Age. How many people do I want to put gathering wood to roll dice versus gathering gold? And will I roll the right amount? Or should I have gone and gotten myself some axes? So always decisions. Lords of Waterdeep, you may be deciding whether you want to benefit yourself just with a standard space, or somebody may have built a building that you can put your meeple on, but it'll benefit them as well as yourself if you use it. So all these choices always exist in these games. Paladins as well. Do I choose to grow my combat or military track, or do I choose to build my faith track? All the choices you have to make just are mind-boggling. The third thing I like is that most of these games have resource management in some way, shape, or form. Actually, I think they all do. So in viticulture, you have to manage your coins for the most part, and then cards in your hand. Lords of Waterdeep, you're getting adventuring cubes and deciding when to disperse them. Feast for Odin is absolutely loaded with resources, food, and cubes and ore. Paladins, you get rations and money that you have to deal with, as well as your colored meeples. Agricola, Stone Age, they all have resources in them. Plenty of other worker placement games out there. I have not played them all, but I know every one that I have played, you're always trying to manage resources. And so it's a game of balancing and really deciding what you're going to build up and when you're going to build it and when you're going to spend it. Lots of decision making in that aspect of the games as well. All right. The fourth thing I like is that you are getting a sense of accomplishment. So many of these games have specific goal cards. Stone Age has kind of a multiplier. So you may be going for that. You may be trying to get hammers so you can do the hammer multiplier, or get all your meeples so you can buy the meeple magnifier cards. That can feel like a goal. Agricola, you have certain job cards or worker cards, so does Feast for Odin, so it can feel accomplishing when the things that you're trying to do are perfectly lined up with the cards that you've been playing. That's a nice accomplishment. Another one in Feast for Odin is filling out those exploration boards. That can feel really good when you get those filled out, because you get so many benefits out of them. Lords of Waterdeep, trying to accomplish those missions, those quests that are worth 20 or 30 points sometimes for those for the expansion anyway. And viticulture, when you're building up that engine to be able to get your wine going through your plant, and then get those purple cards and blue cards to pay off. All feel very rewarding when you get to complete those accomplishments. And then the fifth thing I like is that there is always room for different strategies. No matter which of these games you're playing, you may be fond of a certain strategy, but there's branching paths. Feast for Odin is a perfect example. You may be going for the animal kind of route where you're trying to get sheep and cows and pigs and watch them multiply and grow and help your score in the end, or help you trade in for goods. Or you might go for the ship and the route where you're exporting your people out to other islands so that you can make your feast board smaller and get points for your boats. Paladins, I already talked about the different tracks. Stone Age, you may be going for the card benefits, you may be going for the building hut benefits, or you may just be going for the some of the other benefits that you can get in the game. So each of these games, everyone I've played, you don't ever win just by one track. There's so many different paths, and because of that, you can play different games differently. And the games that do it best also give you cards that can influence your decisions. So the jobs that you can get for Feast for Odin and Agricola are very cool. The quests and intrigue cards that you get in Lords of Waterdeep can influence that. The accomplishment boards and the allies that you can get in Paladins can help with that. So all of these games really give you different opportunities and strategies to pursue in the different games you play. Or you may always go for the same strategy, but guaranteed at least somebody at the table is going to explore and try different things. So those are the 5 things I like the most about these worker placement games. I've had fun with all of these ones on my table here, and I'm excited to try some new ones in the future. If you have any questions about any of these, let me know. And if you have a favorite worker placement game that I haven't named, definitely drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear about them and see if that's one for the family. Thanks for watching. Take care.